Boom! We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. So, the thing about doing a YouTube channel is, especially if it's not, your full-time thing, is there are videos that you make and you post them and you assume that everything is good, everything is fine. Last night, when I recorded it last night, I literally went to sleep right after, and so I didn't check to see if the audio was okay. And so I check it this morning to check out the video. I always rewatch a video, at least part of it, just to see if there's anything that I could say or articulate better, or something that I took too long saying. So suffice it to say, I figure out that the audio was totally messed up, and I would have to delete the video. And I was thinking to myself, well, maybe it's just the first 10 seconds. No, it was the whole video. So I'm recording this on my Rode mic because I just don't want to get set up with everything else and what have you. But the Rode mic is actually really solid. It's what I've been recording in my car and part of this video is going to be recorded in the car. So of course, what we are discussing today is the Iowa Kids Day and my thoughts about the Iowa Kids Day performance. Mainly the quarterbacks. So I was not planning on even discussing this, but I went and I checked the highlights on Hawk Central's webpage or YouTube page. And the highlights that they had were Cade McNamara's highlights. And I barely could even get through it all. I kept thinking to myself, well, maybe it's just a one-time throw. Maybe it's just a one-time miss 5 yards above the receiver or tight end. Maybe it's just a one-time ball in the dirt. And no, it was a consistently bad performance. He overthrew receivers left, right, and center. He threw balls in the dirt. He underthrew. It wasn't even, close at all. It wasn't close enough. I mean, it was very bad. I struggled to get through it. And then, after I watched that, I also saw that, of course, Hawk Central had provided a response video to specifically the quarterbacks, and I thought, I'll give it a shot. Now, full disclosure, I seldom watch Hawk Central or, Daily Iowa or whatever the case may be, and I've told you guys this before, and I will gladly say it again. Any podcast or any publication or article that you read that is associated with a Iowa news organization is going to be biased. And there's two main reasons that is. Number one, and so when I say biased, I also mean that they, for the most part, give vanilla, run-of-the-mill takes. And the reason for that is twofold. One, they want to, let me backtrack. One, they have countless conversations with the Iowa coaching staff, football, basketball, every sport, both behind the scenes, on the record, and off the record. They, you think of a guy like Chad Lysico, that guy has had many conversations with the entire coaching staff. They don't want to disbar or jeopardize that friendship, or, well, maybe not friendship, but professional relationship that they have built. They don't want to bite the hand that feeds them. And it's the same with the players now. The players, I never watch player interviews because it's just this. They never say anything worth substance. It's just normal politically correct foo-foo. It doesn't matter. We rarely get any solid insight from these interviews. And so the second reason, besides them not wanting to jeopardize their working relationship with the coaches, which in turn causes them to not be completely honest, but also they like these coaches. They like these players. And that also causes, in multiple ways, it causes them to be biased. It just does. And then, on top of that, they have sponsors and things like that where, yet again, they don't want to jeopardize whatever they have. And so it usually causes them to have vanilla, run-of-the-mill takes. They have a financial incentive to get you guys all stirred up and get you guys year after year feeling as if the offense is going to somehow improve and get much better. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, for the last 3 or 4 years that I've noticed it, that no matter what, the Iowa media pumps out article after article after article saying that the Iowa offense, here's why the Iowa offense is going to improve. And of course it doesn't. Now, this year it might, because of course there's a new offense coordinator. I'm willing to acknowledge that, although I'm starting to be concerned, and I'll get to that here momentarily. But that is why I seldom listen to Chad Lysico. But nonetheless, I checked him out, him and whoever else he had on there, and they gave a surprisingly, I thought, accurate take. And it spurned me to do a video because it needs to be discussed, the quarterback situation. Now, I didn't agree with I didn't agree with 100% of what they had to say. There were some things, some minutia that I disagreed with, which is fine. And this is not going to be a reaction video to their video. I'm just using it as a reference point for mine. Anyways, guys, that is what motivated me to do the video, because I have a lot of other videos that I have to get to. I'm continuing with the positional previews. The only remaining positions that we have are on the defensive side. And you know what? I just realized technically I still have the special teams unit, but I can combine that with one of the defenses. And let's be honest, guys, with these open practices, it's always the same old, especially under Kirk Ferentz. It's always the defense balls out, they're amazing, and the offense looks terrible, and our optimism was relinquished, squandered, extinguished before it even began. So, let's start here. Cade McNamara. The official stat line was like he went like 8 for 24. Well, not official. I guess it wouldn't be official because this was not a real game. But Chad Lysico, they had him as like 8 for 24. I may have it off by 1 or 2 throws here, which is abysmal, okay? And I don't even care about the stats. I know what I saw. And I'm telling you guys, if you guys don't believe me, go to Hawk Central, check out the highlights. Cade McNamara was all over the place. Balls sailing 5 feet above, in the dirt, not strong enough too weak of a pass. I mean, it just was not good. Now, I will say, his scrambles were okay, but you have to take scrambles in a practice setting with a grain of salt because the defensive line is coached so strongly to not hurt the quarterback, and or else they're going to get in a lot of trouble if they do. So you have to, the defensive line when it comes to the quarterback is playing at like 75% speed. But it was good to see Cade McNamara somewhat healthy, or mostly healthy, and he does, he's quick. I don't think he's fast, but he's quick. So I have said this since day one with Cade McNamara. I have said that when you have a small quarterback like that, a Johnny Manziel size, a 6 foot, I would say a 5'10" to 6'1", okay? Which is not, anything above 5'11" in normal America is above average height, but at the Division I level or higher is average to small. You either have to be able to scramble like we have seen from Ohio State quarterbacks, LSU quarterback, the Daniels guy, Jaden Daniels. We saw it from USC's quarterback. Blanking on his name. I'm not as familiar with all the quarterbacks. Caleb Williams. You have to either be able to, Johnny Manziel. You have to either be able to scramble and operate with your feet to the tune of at least, I would say, 400 yards on the ground. You have to be good enough with your feet to scramble for, I would say, 400 yards, and that includes sack yards because, quite frankly, you don't take very many sacks because you can avoid them. Okay, if you can't do that, if you're not one of those guys, you have to be super accurate. You have to be a super accurate quarterback that can just thread the needle, especially in short to intermediate passes, and really dime people out and precisely march up and down the field. It's a clinic. Because, there are small quarterbacks that have big arms. Johnny Manziel's arm wasn't too bad. People are going to think I'm a huge Johnny man. I'm not. I'm just, he's a smaller stature quarterback, and it's, I can use him as an example. So there are some small quarterbacks that have fairly decent arms, but usually it's the bigger quarterbacks, a Nate Stanley. Spencer Petras didn't have as big of an arm as he should have for his size. Now, CJ Beathard, you do get guys like CJ Beathard who played baseball, and by way of playing baseball, they have these massive arms, but at the same time, CJ Beathard was still 6'2", 6'3", okay? So he wasn't small by any means. Those are the two things that you have to be able to do. And quite frankly, guys, we have not really seen that from Cade McNamara yet. And so I say that to say that what we saw yesterday at the kids' practice was very concerning. It was very concerning because we already know, while he might be able to avoid some sacks, he's not going to be, a 300 yard or more scrambler for the season. We already know that. And so it's very concerning when we see that he is struggling to make the passes. Very concerning. The other thing I want to say with regards to Cade McNamara and his performance, and relay it back to what Hawk Central said. So Hawk Central said that they were kind of giving all these qualifiers. Well, in fairness to Cade McNamara, he has watched more football than he has played in the last 2.5 years. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Why? Because at the end of the day, the best quarterback has to be the starting quarterback. That's all there is to it. There's no ifs, ands, buts. Either you're ready for week 1 or you're not. I mean, I guess in a meta level, you can, yes, or not a meta level, as a qualification, on a qualification circumstantial level, you can use that as an informative piece of information in your analysis. But in the grand scheme, as far as what actually counts, and that being the best players need to be on the field, it's irrelevant. Either Cade McNamara is the best quarterback in the room and he's ready day 1, or he's not. I mean, that's all there is to it. And so, you know, I hear that and I get what they're saying, but it really does not matter. Now, I will say, though, that the Iowa coaching staff may utilize that as a reason, their defense being so superb as a reason to justify that piece of information with why they start him, given or assuming he is not fully ready to start week 1. Because Iowa's defense is so good, they can withstand some mediocre quarterback play and kind of give some leeway to Cade McNamara. But if in the end, in the grand scheme, you end up making a quarterback change anyways, it was a lot of wasted reps for nothing. It was a lot of wasted time for nothing. So that's a huge, huge gamble. The other concern that I have with Cade McNamara, and I've always had this, is he is injury prone. And this has caused him to miss a lot of development time. And so going back to what I said, he's either ready or he's not. It is what it is that he has missed so much time and he just is not sufficiently ready. Now, I will admit that the quarterback room is the football in general is extremely rhythm oriented. You know, you have to, what we see now is not what it's going to be in 2 weeks because there's so many moving pieces and everybody plays a part in the equation and the actual output of a play to play. That's the only qualifier that I would be willing to give Cade McNamara is it takes time to work through some of these things for the offense as a whole. But even still, I'm telling you guys how bad his throws were. It is very concerning. It's very, very concerning. And I'll get to Brendan Sullivan in a little bit, but I don't think Cade McNamara is the guy personally, but I'm open-minded to him being the guy. I don't have a dog in the fight. Some people comment like I have a bias one way or the other. I don't. I want whoever the best quarterback is to be the starting quarterback. I want Iowa to win. That's what I always say. Iowa fans, you have two types of fans. The fans who care about the players more and the fans who care about the team more. I care about the team more. I want to see on the field team success. And whatever quarterback needs to be in place to make that happen is who it needs to be. Now, the other aspect to this, so Brendan Sullivan was in there. And in the first recording I did that unfortunately I'm not able to use, I said, because Hawk Central also used the qualifier, well, Brendan Sullivan played with the twos. Okay, well, to me, the fact that Brendan Sullivan is in year one in understanding the offense, that cancels out the other excuse that we have for Cade McNamara, which is that he's missed more football and watched more football than he's played in the last 2.5 years. They both have, Brendan Sullivan has not been in the Iowa offense for 2 years and has the same familiarity that Cade McNamara has with the offense. So it kind of cancels itself out. Do I think that, and by the way, guys, Brendan Sullivan didn't ball out by any means. He didn't do terribly better or anything like that. but he still did do slightly better. His throws were more accurate. Okay, Cade McNamara's throws were completely all over the place. Assuming this with Brendan Sullivan, this is not me saying that he did great or anything like that. By the way, guys, I've had to kind of mix this up and record it in increments here. But he did look better. So my biggest concern, honestly, guys, is the offense as a whole, Tim Lester. Because, and I really wish the audio worked for the other video, because sometimes there's videos that you do and you just think to yourself, man, I said that really well. I articulated that really well. Give yourself a nice little pat on the back. But this is 2 times now, at the spring game and now the kids' day. And as Hawk Central said, and I've admitted this many a times, of course, Tim Lester is not going to show every single play that he has and throw the kitchen sink out there for all to see, because if they can, in year 1, kind of skate by some teams with due to, or have an added advantage through some unfamiliarity, then of course, that is strategically good. That is strategically sound. But what it comes down to, honestly, guys, is I would at least expect us to look better, or sufficiently better than what we've seen from Brian Ferentz at this point in the year. It was basically the same thing. Balls in the dirt, balls being sailed over. The only thing that was better, and even this, I can remember some kids' days where the run game looked okay, but I was going to say that the run game and the offensive line was fine. There was one bad snap from whoever the center was with the snap to Cade McNamara, and I don't know if that was Cade McNamara's fault or more so the center. Whatever it is, the run game, Kamari Moulton looked solid. I'm really liking his development, and I think he's going to go down as one of the most underrated finds, and a really, really nice find for Liddell Betts out of the state of Florida. And, when you really think about it, given the fact that he went to such a big high school, Cardinal Gibbons, it's somewhat surprising that he was not recruited more heavily. But I think they had so much talent, so Kamari Moulton was not able to flash what his skill level was due to snaps being distributed to other players as well. So I like him. Caleb Johnson looks physically looks great. Good size. He's always had great size. He's always had that running back look, that thickness. So that's good. And of course, the defense looked phenomenal. And listen, guys, I will admit, playing against Iowa's defense is not easy. It's not. They are a top 10, if not top 5 defense in the entire country, okay? They are an imposing unit. The Iowa defense is littered with NFL talent on every single level, both established and potential NFL draft talent. One other note, but nonetheless, just to put a capstone on this point, I was hoping that we would have seen more cohesion, more efficiency, and at least 1 or 2 bright spots from Tim Lester's offense, and for it to visibly look better than what we have seen from Brian Ferentz in the past. And I honestly, I'm not sure I saw that. The offense looked different. They were in the shotgun a lot. They did some, shuffle passes, but it was, as always, fairly vanilla, fairly run-of-the-mill, standard pro-style offense. And I told you guys this. I did the video where I reacted to an Oregon SB Nation writer. I reacted to his article. And a lot of fans were annoyed that I dare question the OC, the new OC, and how dare you? You're not a true Iowa fan. He's going to be great. No, guys, that I am not one of these Hawk Central contributors. I'm going to tell you exactly what I see. And you know what? If you don't like it, it is what it is. But I'm going to tell it like I see it. If I don't see the Iowa offense looking better or markedly improved upon, then I'm going to say it. So that is a concern for me. That is definitely a concern for me. So the run game looked okay. LaShawn Williams was out. Xavier Wampa was out. Deep tissue issue. Kirk Ferentz didn't seem too concerned with it, but I just want to tell you guys, for what it's worth, I have been fooled many a times by Kirk Ferentz saying or acting like it's not a big deal. Deep tissue injuries are different for everybody. The recovery time is different for everybody. Some people have huge issues recovering from deep tissue injuries. So we'll see. Hopefully he's okay. He's one of the players that I cannot wait to see. This is his third year in the program. He was that 5-star status. I cannot wait to see. Now, we haven't really heard too much out of camp. Xavier Wampa has just kind of been solid. He's just kind of been okay. We haven't heard, like, out of camp, we're hearing about John Nestor. Out of camp, we're hearing about Quinn Schulte. Out of camp, we're hearing about Sebastian Castro. Out of camp, we're hearing about Nick. And, we haven't ever really heard about Xavier Wampa in that regard. Now, he is on a lot of draft boards, and a lot of people are very high on him. I think it's crucial for Iowa to turn him into an NFL draft talent, because when you're a program like Iowa and you receive so few 4- and 5-star guys, well, Iowa has received a lot more 4-star guys, but definitely so few 5-star guys. The very few that you get, you have to ensure that they get to the NFL, or else it's going to be hard to convince other guys in the future. So that's pretty much it, guys. Marco Lainez was with the threes. I see a lot of people in the comments saying Marco Lainez is the future. He needs to be QB1. I'm not quite there yet. I would have been more sold on that with Joey Labus. And I'm telling you, I already know Joey Labus is going to ball out at Central Michigan. I've been right about him for a long time now. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be an NFL draft pick, but I have always thought that he should be the guy that Iowa was trying to develop and get into it. But what's done is done. I don't think we're quite there yet. I think ultimately everything that I've said in this video is nothing new. I have said for a long time, pretty much since Brendan Sullivan committed to Iowa, that I thought that Brendan should be the starting quarterback for Iowa, and he's the perfect bridge quarterback between his this year and next year and getting Marco Lainez or whoever the quarterbacks are that are, freshmen or high school recruits when Tim Lester, because the Tim Lester guys from him that will conceivably receive a lot of development from him are Marco Lainez, James Razor, and then Jimmy Sullivan, and then of course Pat Fitzgerald's son, who's a preferred walk-on. So just to wrap this video up, I am very concerned that Tim Lester, the quarterback guru, to me, I'm not seeing this quarterback development. Now, ultimately, a kid's day means very little. What matters more is the on-the-field success, but this is definitely a red flag. Just like spring was a red flag. And from what I've seen, I'm very disappointed. That's in Tim Lester. That's probably the biggest takeaway. The Cade McNamara, it is somewhat understandable. It doesn't matter, but it's somewhat understandable. The biggest issue that there is no excuse for is Tim Lester, the group that he coaches directly and his offense as a whole. And I just haven't really seen it. I don't really see a difference currently. It doesn't mean it can't change, but I don't really see a difference between him and Brian Ferentz as of yet. The offense looks slightly different, but as far as the production, how the offense looks efficiency-wise, leaves a lot to be desired. All right, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Like I said, you guys can watch Cade McNamara's highlights on Hawk Central. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Definitely subscribe. We're very close to 2,000 subs. Help your boy get there. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy alone. Facts are feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you, Hawk fans. See you guys next time. Go Hawks. Bye-bye.